Alright, let's be honest. We all have Sonic hot takes. Whether you like all the games that everybody else likes or hate all the games everybody else hates, there's almost always one thing at least that you think about the Sonic series that not many people would agree with. So today I'm going to go through the best Sonic hot takes that you left on that community post almost a month ago. Man, why am I so bad at uploading? Also, before getting into the video, please hit that subscribe button and I guess also that like button while you're down there too. That'd really help the channel and I'd really appreciate it. So, thank you. Now, let's get right into the video. So how I'm going to do this, I'm going to start with the least offensive hot takes, then go down to the spiciest hot takes you'll ever see. You won't want to miss the last few hot takes, those are insane. Alright then, let's begin. Our first comment here is from G-Master. They say, Infinite is an underrated Sonic antagonist. This is a pretty good hot take, nothing crazy, and a great hot take to start off this list. I thought Infinite was a top 5 Sonic villain, just straight up. I think the only thing that held him back was his backstory. Other than that, he had a cool design, a great voice, a great theme, and overall was just a great villain in my opinion. I was hoping he'd return in Shadow Generations, but I'm glad Mephiles did. I'm just hoping they give him a second chance. He could very well be my favorite Sonic villain if written by Ian Flynn. But yeah, great hot take, G-Master. The next hot take is from Sonic Probably. He says, Sonic 3 and Knuckles is the best classic game, Sonic Adventure 2 is the best adventure game, and Sonic Unleashed is the best boost game. This one's a great one, I fully agree. While Sonic 2 is awesome, Sonic 3 and Knuckles just has it all. The music, the levels, the story, the level design, even the sprites. Near perfection in my opinion. With Sonic Adventure 2, I know a lot of people would say Adventure 1 is better, but Sonic Adventure 2 will always just be my favorite adventure game. I'm not going to sit here and compare these two games, I think both of them are near perfection, but with SA2, it's just packed to the brim with action, with riding down the streets of San Francisco, to breaking into military bases, exploring ancient pyramids, traveling through space, and grinding on a rail above Earth. Man, it has it all. And that's just the hero story, I haven't even gotten to the dark story yet. Gameplay I could spend all day on, but basically it's fun once you get used to it. Sonic Unleashed is easily my favorite boost game. I think the level design and visuals are just incredible to say the least. I even like the Werehog, I think his gameplay was pretty fun. Plus the amount of combos you can do is enough to keep me engaged. I still can't believe this game came out in 2008 because it's just beautiful. But yeah, W hot take, Sonic Probably. Classic Knuckles has a pretty unique hot take next. He says, Sonic Forces should have brought back Sonic Lost World parkour. That could have been cool. I thought that was one of the best things from Sonic Lost World, even though I didn't even know how to use it half the time. In Sonic Forces, that could have been an interesting idea, but they would have to drastically change the game in order for it to be useful. It might have been better received if it did have Lost Worlds parkour. That would have been a really cool way to find alternate paths and hidden collectibles. Plus, it would be another thing to do besides just hold boost. But yeah, that's a cool idea. Next up, we have a hot take from The Creator. Sonic 06 has some of the best characterization in the franchise. Ooh, that's a good one. I think with characters like Shadow, Silver, and Blaze, yeah, absolutely. They were awesome in 06. The other characters were still great too. Sonic was still awesome as usual, Tails and Knuckles were pretty much the same, and Rouge and Omega were still great as well. I really wish 06 didn't get the hate it got. It's actually a pretty good game in my opinion once you get used to it. But yeah, that's a hot take I can agree with. A Light Token up next says, I think Sonic Superstars is better than Sonic Mania. That's an interesting hot take. Superstars is better than Mania? I guess it does have more original levels than Mania does, but Mania was just so fun. Although, to be fair, Superstars introduced Trip, who seems like a pretty cool character, but then again, Mania brought back Mighty and Ray, which was also really cool. I guess at the end of the day, it really comes down to personal preference, but that's a pretty good hot take regardless. Thanks for sharing that. OVA Sonics is up next. He says that Sonic Rush is the best boost formula game of all time. It has the best story and best character interactions in my opinion, while also making the boost feel right. That's a great hot take. I really love Sonic Rush as well. The way to fill up your boost with the tricks is a really great mechanic. Same with the trick system they brought back from Advance 2. Also, the special stages, in my opinion, might just be the best in the series. Well, all of them except for the last one. Plus, it introduced Blaze, who, in my opinion, is one of the best characters in the series, and the music in the game is awesome as well. I still think Unleashed is better, personally, but Rush has to be second place in my opinion. Thank you for the comment, OVA Sonics. The next hot take is from Supernova51. His comment is a little long, but I'll summarize it. In short, he says that Sonic R and Sonic Lost World are the most underrated Sonic games of all time. He says that Sonic R actually has great level design and is faithful to the classic games. For Sonic Lost World, the game's controls and level design is also underrated, and if using the parkour right and use of the broken spin dash mechanic, you can make satisfying skips. Yeah, both of these games I would have to replay again, especially Sonic R. I only did like one race and didn't really enjoy it that much. I think if I replay it again and gave it a chance, it would be fun. Same with Lost World. But hey, if you guys have played these games a lot, let me know what you think of them down in the comments. Thanks for the comments, Supernova. Karina Mindcat Games left so many hot takes. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to use all of these, but I picked one that I think is a good take. This one says, the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog has better writing than Frontiers. I think both games are written well, but I don't know, they're both like tied in my opinion. MOSTH had some great characterization for all the cast, especially Amy, plus the story is pretty well written. It's basically an IDW comic if it was a game, and I love that. I think Sonic Frontiers definitely comes close with its writing. Knuckles and Tails especially were really well done in my opinion, and are easily some of my favorite portrayals of the characters to date. Both games have some peak writing, but once again, I guess it just comes down to personal preference. Anyways, thanks for the comment. The Epic Gaming Zilla says, Sonic CD is greater than Sonic 2. I think both games are great. I personally think Sonic 2 is better, but Sonic CD was really fun, especially when I went to destroy the generators in the past. Your take makes sense. I can definitely see why you think it. It has a lot more diversity with the past and future level layouts being completely different than the normal one. Plus Sonic CD has Metal Sonic, who is one of the best Sonic villains in my opinion. But, great hot take. Next, Brian says, the Sonic Boom redesigns weren't that bad. I kinda like them to be honest. Yeah, I didn't think they were that bad. I think Knuckles' redesign is the only one I don't really like, and Sonic's is okay, but I kinda like Tails and Amy's redesigns. I thought they were cool. I feel like Sonic Boom itself gets a little too much hate simply for Rise of Lyric. The show itself was really enjoyable, even though it wasn't anything serious. I really liked it. Now, this one might be controversial, but I didn't even think that Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric was that bad. I played it with my friend, and it was kind of enjoyable. Now, it's nowhere near the best Sonic game, but I don't think it's the garbage that people call it. That's just my opinion, though. Thanks for the comment. From here on, the hot takes will start to get even hotter, so be prepared for some controversial opinions. Starting off this series of comments is the Unnamed Re. They say, the Shadow Generations OST is better than the Sonic Generations OST. Wow, Shadow Generations OST is better than Sonic Generations? That's interesting. I think some songs are good, like Space Colony Arc Act 1, Supporting Me, What I'm Made Of, Mephiles boss theme, the Black Doom boss theme, and many more. But personally, I much prefer the Generations OST. Almost every modern stage theme is awesome. It's top 5 for my favorite Sonic soundtracks in the series. But regardless, great hot take. Thank you for the comment. Toasty Boy 737 says next, in short, Shadow is an overrated character. He was never a bad character. Even when he's badly written, he still has cool moments, but he just gets overhyped so often. Yeah, I agree. He's still one of my favorite characters, but I think he just gets glazed way too often, I feel like. In the movie, he was awesome. Probably even better than movie Sonic in my opinion. But for the games, for me, Sonic clears. So yeah, I agree with this take, but obviously don't feel bad if you love Shadow. This is just my opinion. Thanks for the comment. Next, Kurim Sweetie says, Sonic Colors Ultimate is overhated. As for the PC version, I thought it was really good, but I did hear that the PC version fixed most of the console version's errors, but as for what I played, I didn't see anything really wrong with it. The visuals sometimes were maybe a little hard on the eyes, but it never really bothered me that much. I think this game's hate was just leftover hate from what Forces got. While I wouldn't say Sonic Colors Ultimate was a great remaster, it was still decent. It obviously could have been better though. Lucky7 says next, the motion controls in Secret Rings are also really fun. I think they are as well. Now before you say, Levi, are you just gonna say I agree for every single hot take you read? It's getting old really fast. I don't know, man. All these hot takes are just really good and just happen to be in line with almost everything I say. Anyways, with Secret Rings controls, they sure are aggravating to get used to, but once you do, you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of levels like Evil Foundry, Pirate Storm, Sand Oasis, and pretty much every other level. Mr. Indigo has a pretty long comment, but basically says that Sonic CD is the best classic Sonic game. He mentions it having the best level design. He also points out the soundtrack, saying it's the best. The story, he says, is great, the plot is underrated, and the time travel mechanic being incredible and adding a ton of depth to the levels. I agree. Nah, but seriously, this take makes perfect sense. I've never really thought of that. Counting the past and futures of the stages, there are 18 different unique level designs, which is just crazy to think about. Yeah, plus like you mentioned, the music is great and the story, I guess, is pretty good. It does its job pretty well, I'd say. Overall, I'd probably give Sonic CD a 7 out of 10. It's a pretty fun game. David Vidiani says next, Tails gameplay overall should have things like using weapons and vehicles and puzzle solving, and the emphasis is not on the puzzle solving but on the robot bashing. Ooh, that sounds cool. Yeah, I really like the way they handled it in SA2 with Tails' plane being able to turn into the Cyclone mech. Although being able to use the Cyclone laser and shoot missiles could be really cool if they ever did use it again, similar to how they did in Sonic Frontiers. Yeah, I think Tails' gameplay could have that unique technology aspect, and that could be really cool, especially since Tails is known for building those kinds of things. But yeah, that's a cool idea. Some Sonic guy says, I don't care what anyone says, Planet Wisp is a great level in Sonic Gens. For Modern Sonic, yeah, that level was fun. The opening was by far the best part of the level, but the factory part wasn't even that bad in my opinion. Now, if you mean the full level, including Act 1, yeah, it was just not that fun to me. Classic Sonic's levels I already think are just okay, but this level really just takes everything I don't like about him and puts it into one level. But of course, this is just my opinion. For the most part, I agree. Zipperola has a very unique hot take next. He says, if you only count Tails and Eggman levels in SA2, it's the worst Sonic game ever. Wow, you must have not really liked those stages then. I mean, sure, I don't think the Mech Shooting is anywhere near as good as the speed stages, but I think if you don't try to get the A ranks on these stages, they're a lot of fun. Once you play them a few times, you'll know the level layout, and so you'll be able to get faster times each time you play them. If you just count those levels, yeah, I don't think it's the best Sonic game, but I definitely don't think it's the worst either. That is a very unique hot take, Zipperola. Thanks for sharing that. FVX Kid says, Eggmanland is one of the best Sonic stages, but people aren't ready for that conversation. I've seen this stage getting a lot of praise recently, and I think it's cool. Eggmanland, I think, is a great final stage. It offers a huge amount of challenge while also giving you plenty of extra lives, so you won't be getting many game overs if you play it right. This stage is also the only one in that game that has you play as both Sonic and the Werehog in the same level, and I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, great hot take, FVX Kid. Plushy Master says, Sonic and the Black Knight is flawless in every aspect, story, presentation, and music, besides gameplay, of course. Well, I can't argue with that. After replaying Sonic and the Black Knight again, I found the game really fun after using what's called a combo swing. Basically, there's a move Sonic can do. Once you homing attack an enemy and swing before you hit them, you'll plow through them really fast, and it makes gameplay extremely smooth. So yeah, that made the game so much better for me. And like you mentioned, the story, presentation, and music being near perfection. But what really does it for me is the art direction. Almost all the stages are beautiful. I wish you could just stop and look around just so you can take in the beautiful scenery around you. Anyways, great hot take, Plushy Master. Hajin Might Flex says next, Sonic Generations is greater than Shadow Generations. Both are heat though. Ooh, this is a good one. I think I might prefer Shadow Gens over Sonic Gens, but it's close. Both games are awesome. Shadow Generations may have a better story, but Sonic Generations also has that awesome soundtrack. I'm not the biggest fan of classic Sonic, but I could tolerate his levels. That may also be why I prefer Shadow Generations, but that's just me. Speaking of which,
Memzia says, okay, Shadow Generations is pretty much overrated. It's undoubtedly good, but in my mind, Sonic Unleashed does better in everything except in-game cutscenes and graphics, just technically. Yeah, I would agree. One of my biggest complaints about Shadow Generations is that it just feels a little too short.
I mean, sure, it has every right to be. It's practically the mirror of Sonic Generations,
but that's one of the reasons I love Unleashed so much. It takes about 5 hours for me to beat Sonic Unleashed, and that's if I'm moving really fast.
Now, I know not everyone likes the Werehog stages, but to be honest, they don't take that long to beat if you know what you're doing. Plus, I tend to like longer levels, but yeah, I don't think I would call Shadow Generations overrated, but I don't think it's the best Sonic game.
Mystic Claus has a hot take next. In short, he says, the SA2 treasure hunting is the best non-Sonic playstyle in the franchise. It's good to know more people love the treasure hunting in SA2 as much as I did. I loved it. I thought it was much better than the treasure hunting in SA1, simply just because the levels were so unique.
While having all the emeralds trackable at the same time in SA1 was nice, the levels seemed short and a little too easy for me. I like the extra challenge that the emerald hunting in SA2 gave us. I don't even think Mad Space is that bad once you know your way around the level. First time playing it, yeah, it's awful, but once you get used to it, it's pretty fun.
Quadruple's hot take is next. He says, Knuckles is a better character than Shadow. I think so. Now, before all the Shadow fans type in the comments how wrong I am,
this is just my personal opinion. Knuckles has always been my favorite Sonic character ever since I first played Sonic Mania and Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but I really started to love him when I first played the adventure games, especially Adventure 2. He's just awesome. I loved his commitment to protect the Master Emerald and seeing the distance he would go in order to keep it safe. Plus, he is one of the strongest characters in the series. Anyways, thanks for the comments. Stylish Gabby says, Sonic Adventure isn't a good game. Sonic Story is a good game, Tails and Knuckles are fine, the rest is mediocre to bad. I call half of the game straight up bad. Wow, that is a hot take for sure. I can see why. I think Amy's gameplay is pretty slow, and Big is just big, but I thought the rest of the cast stories were great, Sonic obviously being the best out of the 6. Knuckles was probably my second favorite character to play as. I thought his story was great, plus you get more of his backstory and the Echidna lore. Tails is probably number 3. He seemed very similar to Sonic, except could fly and had no spin dash, which is still great. His character arc at the end of his story was awesome as well. Then Gamma, number 4. I thought Gamma's story was really well done. Thanks for the comments, Stylish Gabby. Vinar Person has a pretty interesting hot take next. They say Zazz is a good character. Not sure what I think about this one. I will say, I thought Zazz and Sonic's banter was hilarious in Lost World. I really wish they had done more of these moments. They were easily the funniest parts of the meta era. I kinda liked him. He's probably my favorite of the Deadly Six, even though I wouldn't say he was great. The next hot take is from Zafix10. He says, okay, call me old, but I prefer classic Sonic gameplay over modern gameplay, but I don't hate modern Sonic. Generations is the best modern Sonic, plus I disagree with anyone who says classic Sonic is bad in that game. That's fair. One thing I will say about classic Sonic is that he's a lot more consistent than modern Sonic is. Now I feel like classic games are generally safer and more easy to make, but modern Sonic games I just feel like are Sonic. No disrespect to the classic games of course, but I feel like modern games just have a lot more to offer. I mean, duh, it's 3D, but still. I think both classic and modern are great. I personally just prefer the 3D games over the 2D games. This next one is guaranteed to get some controversy. LB Gamer 6166 says here, IDW sucks. Its characterization of the characters suck, and some of its new characters are boring. Wow, I know not everyone likes the comics that much, but to say they suck? I don't know, man. Some of the characterizations you could argue weren't the best, but one thing the comics did amazingly was featuring characters that don't get much attention in the games, such as Silver, Blaze, the Chaotix, Cream, Rouge, Omega, and many more, which I think is pretty cool. I am so glad Ian Flynn took over writing for the series. He practically fixed the Sonic series in my opinion. The Dinosaur Tester says Sonic Heroes is far worse than Sonic 06. Now, judging by the way you said that, it sounds like you still think 06 is bad, which makes this hot take even crazier. I like both games, but I do like 06 more than Heroes. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like Heroes. I still think Heroes is an A-tier game, but I thought 06 gameplay was so much fun. Plus, you got the story, the characters, the hub world, the characterizations, all near perfect in my opinion. So, yeah, I agree with this take. Zupo says next, Sonic did have a rough transition into 3D, and I'm talking about Sonic Adventure, even if it is good. Reason, it's a good game, don't get me wrong, great even, but comparing it to other games at the time when it came out in the late 90s, examples like Ocarina of Time, Metal Gear, Tekken 3, Super Mario 64, Final Fantasy VII, etc. It fell short of being that genre-defining game that so many early 3D games were. Sonic needed to be a bit better. I don't know, man. The cutscenes, sure you can argue they didn't age well at all, but as for the gameplay and just the visuals of the game itself, it's not that bad. Saying Sonic had a rough transition into 3D seems like people just pick on it just because of the cutscenes. I don't really know why people think Super Mario 64 looks better than Sonic Adventure. I'm sorry, it's not even close for me, but that's a topic for a different video. I appreciate the comment, Zupa. Now we're at the part of the video with the biggest hot takes, so prepare yourself for some very spicy takes. Orange says, Silver is the best of the 3 hedgehogs. Come at me, Shadow fans. The Shadow fans will definitely not like this one. That's a good one. Silver, I think, is very underrated. He's definitely one of my favorite characters in the series. He's really cool. I just really wish he had more time in the games. The only game he really got a fair amount of time was in 06, and he was great in that game, even if the game did flop and he received hate. I'm hoping in the next mainline game, Silver will play an important role. Underground SR is next. They say, hunting is by far the best part of SA2. Wow, the best part of SA2? Even better than the speed stages? I mean, I love the treasure hunting in SA2, but the best part of SA2? That's a crazy hot take. I mean, I agree that it's really good. I've just never heard of anyone who actually likes them better than the Sonic and Shadow stages. I think all the treasure hunting stages can be fun once you know your way around the levels. I feel like most players don't understand that this game has a learning curve, so when they first play it and don't do that well, they blame the game. Once you do get good, the game is so much fun in my opinion. Kiefer Hobby says, Forces is better than Frontiers even with the updates. What? Dude, there's no way. Forces is better than Frontiers even with the Final Horizon included? Oh, dude, that is an insane hot take. I don't even know what to say. I mean, I do think Forces gets a little too much hate, but to say it's even better than Frontiers? Plus, considering you can play as Tails, Knuckles, and Amy? Plus the Supreme End boss fight? Nah, no way, dude. But hey, that is a great hot take, as far as hot takes go at least. Hussein Benayan 4341 says, Sonic Forces is better than Sonic Generations. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Generations, but it's just a bunch of remastered levels, and in my opinion, Infinite is a lot better than the Time Eater, and it makes sense why Classic Sonic is here because of Mania. Forces is better than Generations. I guess it has more original levels for the most part. Plus, I liked Infinite as well. I thought he was actually pretty cool. But wow, Forces is a better game than Generations. That is once again a crazy hot take. Still, that's definitely a hot take that belongs in this video. Thanks for sharing it. King568Z with the second to last hot take says, Knuckles Chaotix is better than the Advanced Trilogy. I'm gonna be cooked. Oh my goodness, Knuckles Chaotix is better than the Advanced Trilogy. That is insane. I haven't played much of the game, but I'm sure I would have enjoyed it more if I got used to the mechanics. But as for what I played, nah, no way. I love the advanced games. They're some of my favorite 2D games. But wow, definitely an interesting hot take. And for the final hot take on this list, you saw it in the thumbnail, here it is. Blood Moon says, the nighttime stages are better than the daytime stages in Sonic Unleashed. This is just wow. I mean, I will agree the nighttime stages are a lot of fun and I think they're overhated, but to say they're better than the daytime stages? Nah, dude, I gotta disagree with you there. But still, that is a great hot take for this video. Thank you for sharing it. And that is going to wrap it up for this video. Thank you to everyone who left their hot takes on that community post. I appreciate you guys taking your time to comment. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time.